dedicated to each and every one of you who appreciate a great glass of wine. You know what I mean?
It's Monday. Let's raise a glass to the beginning of another week. It's time to unscrew, uncork, or saber a bottle. And let's begin exploring the wine glass. We're heading back to Spain today. Yay! So far, we've traveled through Galicia's green coastlines, wandered through the cider-soaked hills of Asturias, and hiked Cantabria's misty valleys. But today, we're heading somewhere truly unique. A place that feels like its own little country. Because, it kind of is. Welcome to País Vasco, also known as the Basque Country, where the food is world-class, the language predates Latin, and the wines, the wines. Crisp, coastal, and packed with character. This is a place where the Atlantic Ocean crashes into the steep green hills, where locals pour wine from impossible heights, and where the language sounds like it was written by Tolkien after a night of pintxos and Txakoli. So grab your glass, maybe pour something with a little spritz to it, and let's dive into the story of Basque wine, a region that's small in size but enormous in character. Please take a moment of your time to subscribe, rate, and review Exploring the Wine Glass. It's completely free, and it is a great way to let other wine lovers know about the podcast. Be sure to head over to the website, exploringthewineglass.com, to read my award-winning blog and to see what else I have been up to. And most of all, please tell your friends about the podcast. Slancha!
Hey everybody, I'm Lori Budd, a UC Davis winemaking program, Spanish wine scholar, sommelier service, champagne and Côte d'Aron specialist, and a WSET Level 2 graduate. You can find Exploring the Wine Glass on all the socials, as well as your favorite podcast catchers. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to swipe, subscribe, rate, and review. Stay in the know about all things wine by visiting my website, exploringthewineglass.com. I promise I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass. All right, my friends, it's time to get into the map. As a reminder of where we are, País Vasco sits in the northern Spain, right along the Bay of Biscay. To the west is Cantabria, to the east is France and the region of Navarra, and to the south you'll find La Rioja and Castilla y León. Although it is part of Spain, it is almost a country unto itself. Basque Country is a world all its own, both geographically and culturally. The Basque Country is made up of 3 provinces, Álava, Biscay, and Gipuzkoa. Together they form a patchwork of coastal cliffs, rolling green hills, and forested mountains. The Cantabrian mountains create a natural barrier that helps shape the region's microclimates. Together, they form a symphony of green, rolling hills, steep slopes, dramatic cliffs, and fishing villages that look like they were painted straight out of a storybook. If Cantabria feels like where the ocean and the mountains shake hands, then País Vasco is where they dance. The Basque Coast gets lashed by the Atlantic, shaping not just the weather, but the very personality of the wines. The inland areas, like Álava, shift from sea breeze to sun-kissed vineyards, creating microclimates that make each subregion distinct. It's this collision of geography, mountain meets sea, mist meets sunshine, that makes Basque wine so interesting. One hillside vineyard can give you briny, citrusy whites, while a few miles inland, you're sipping structured reds that share ancestry with some of the greats. The Basque climate is Atlantic maritime, meaning mild temperatures, plenty of rain, and constant ocean influence. We know that Galicia is green Spain. You can consider País Vasco, its moodier cousin. Along the coast, in the provinces of Biscay and Gipuzkoa, vineyards are often battered by wind and fog, producing wines with bracing acidity and lower alcohol. As you move inland toward Álava, you get a more continental climate, less rain, more sun, and slightly warmer growing conditions. It is this climactic contrast that is key. The coastal areas give us that refreshing, lightly effervescent Txakoli, spelled Txakoli, while Álava produces grapes that can stand up to barrel aging and richer winemaking styles. It's time to talk grapes, baby. This is where Basque Country really flexes its individuality. Well, there's the language also. Give it a listen if you dare. The region's flagship white grape is Handarabi Zuri, which is not a single grape, but a collective term covering several closely related varieties. It's the base of most Txakoli wines, light, zesty, with a whisper of spritz and a sailing kick that feels like the sea breeze in your glass. Historically, the Basque people used Handarabi Zuri simply to mean the white grape from Handaribia, not realizing it encompassed multiple cultivars. Modern DNA analysis clarified that what winemakers called by one name was actually a family of grapes, each contributing to the distinctive briny, fresh, high-acid profile that defines Txakoli. When you see Handarabi Zuri on the bottle of Txakoli, it could be one or a blend of the following. Corbu Blanc, the most common grape labeled as Handarabi Zuri, and likely the main one used in modern Txakoli. It adds citrus, green apple, and floral notes with refreshing acidity. Petit Corbu, a slightly richer variety, adding body and texture while still maintaining bright freshness. Gros Manseng, sometimes also included under the Handarabi Zuri umbrella, bringing tropical fruit, spice, and higher sugar potential. Crochet, aka Handarabi Zura Zerechia, a rarer aromatic mutation known for pear and white flower aromas. And finally, Noah, less common and often excluded from modern DO wines, historically grown in the region, but now mostly abandoned due to the quality and legal classification issues. Then there's Handarabi Beltza, its red counterpart. And here's where it gets extra fun for me. Yes, Handarabi Zuri and Handarabi Beltza share that same first name, but they are not related. In fact, they actually were just named after the Basque town of Handarabia. But Handarabi Beltza is actually an offspring of Cabernet Franc. Yes, my beloved Cabernet Franc. Genetic research has confirmed that link, and it makes perfect sense when you taste it. Beltza carries the same peppery, herbal notes, that touch of violet, and a bit of that lean, savory edge that makes Cabernet Franc such a food-friendly grape. Cabernet Franc itself was first documented in the Basque region centuries ago. Some of the earliest evidence of the grape in Spain actually traces back here, long before it gained fame in Bordeaux and the Loire Valley. In fact, Cabernet Franc was first identified in Spain, in the Basque area and Western Pyrenees, making this one of the earliest places on the Iberian Peninsula to cultivate the grape. Talk about deep roots. So the next time you sip a slightly rustic, peppery red Txakoli, know that you're tasting a grape with royal Francophone heritage. So in a way, the Basque Country helped plant the seed, literally, for one of the world's great wine families. This is something that I always discuss when talking about Cabernet Franc. It's a Spanish variety, not French. You'll also find some Riesling in small plantings here. But Txakoli's Handarabi twins, even though they're not twins, are definitely the stars of the show. We can't discuss País Vasco without talking about the language. The Basque people speak Euskara, and it's a true linguistic unicorn. Unlike Spanish or French, Euskara isn't related to any other language in the world. It didn't come from Latin, Celtic, or Greek. It's a language isolate, predating all of them. Linguistics have been scratching their heads for centuries trying to figure out where it came from. If Euskara were a wine, it would definitely be a wild, indigenous varietal, one that refuses to be categorized, thrives in its own microclimate, and has notes of mystery, tradition, and just a little bit of rebellion. The Basques are fiercely proud of it. Street signs are bilingual. Many schools teach entirely in Euskara, and you'll hear locals slip effortlessly between it and Spanish, sometimes mid-sentence. That linguistic independence mirrors their cultural and agricultural independence, including winemaking. Just as Euskara has endured despite outside influence, Basque winemakers have kept their unique styles alive, even as the trends shifted around them. So now let's talk about these wine regions, because País Vasco punches way above its weight in quality and character. There are 3 DOs, denominations de origen, for wine in País Vasco. Guetarrico Txakolino, DO, is located in Gipuzkoa near the coastal town of Getaria. This is arguably the most famous of the 3 Txakoli producing zones. The vineyards cling to steep seaside slopes, and the wines are bright, light-bodied, and famously fizzy. Though the spritz is a natural byproduct of fermentation, not carbonation. Think green apple, lemon zest, and sea salty tang. If you've ever seen someone pour wine from shoulder height in San Sebastian, that's Txakoli. Bizkaiko Txakolino, DO. Centered around Biscay province, this DO produces slightly fuller-bodied wines than Getaria. The vineyards are more inland, and you'll often find Handarabi Zuri blended with other whites like Petit Corbeau or Riesling. These wines have more texture and sometimes even see a bit of oak aging, making them excellent food wines, especially with grilled seafood or local sheep's milk cheese. Arabaco Txakolina. Found in Álava, the same province that overlaps with Rioja. The vineyards here are higher in elevation and more continental in climate, which gives the wines a touch more fruit, ripeness, and structure. Reds made from Handarabi Belza can show off their Cabernet Franc lineage beautifully. Spicy, aromatic, and light on their feet. And here's where it gets interesting. Part of Rioja DOCA, one of Spain's 2 prestigious DOCA designations, also lies within the Basque territory, specifically the Rioja Alavesa subzone. Part of the DOCA, Rioja Alavesa, lies within País Vasco. Rioja Alta is entirely in La Rioja, while Rioja Oriental crosses over into La Rioja and into Navarra. More on that when we get to Rioja. That makes the Basque Country one of the few places in Spain where you can cross from a DO into a DOCA simply by taking a scenic drive through vineyard hills. The soils here are limestone rich, and the vineyards are perched at higher altitudes, resulting in beautifully balanced Tempranillo wines that can age gracefully for decades. So in País Vasco, you have both the future of modern Spanish whites in Txakoli and the legacy of classic reds in Rioja Alavesa, side by side. Most Txakoli wines are meant to be enjoyed young. They're the definition of fresh off the vine. Txakoli, the goal is freshness. Most wines are made in stainless steel tanks and bottled young, typically within a year of harvest, to preserve that bright acidity and faint fizz. Some producers are experimenting with lees aging and added texture for oak for depth, but those remain the exceptions. But when we're talking about Rioja Alavesa, the traditional Rioja aging system still reigns. Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva. Remember, Crianza is at least 1 year in barrel and 1 in bottle. Reserva, at least 1 year in barrel, 2 in bottle. And Gran Reserva, a minimum of 2 years in barrel and 3 in bottle. Many of the Basque Rioja producers lean towards a more modern fruit-forward style, less oak, more purity of fruit, but the quality remains world-class. And now, a word from our sponsor. Calling all Rioja lovers, ready to take your knowledge to the next level? The Uncork Rioja, your ultimate enthusiast guide and certification, is the perfect way to do it. This isn't just a class, it is a comprehensive 36-page digital guide that covers everything from the history and geography of Rioja to its unique aging classifications like Crianza and Gran Reserva. You'll learn about the main grapes and even get tips on food pairings. And here's the best part. Once you finish the guide, you can take a quiz and earn your official Rioja Enthusiast certificate. Get your guide today for just $6.99 at exploringthewineglass.com under the Educational tab. Sláinte! So what's wine without food? If there's one thing you should never do in Basque Country, it's skip a meal. The food scene here is legendary. Seriously, it's one of the world's great culinary destinations. You've got pintxos bars in San Sebastian that make Michelin-starred dining feel casual, seafood straight from the Bay of Biscay, and hearty mountain fare in Álava that could power a small army. Pintxos are small bite-sized snacks from northern Spain, particularly in this Basque country, that are often served on a slice of bread and held together by a toothpick. Similar to tapas, they are a social food meant to be eaten standing in a bar with a drink, encouraging conversation. The name comes from the Basque word pinto and the Spanish pinchar, meaning to pierce, which is referencing the toothpick that holds it together. Txakoli's briny acidity is perfect with anchovies, grilled sardines, or anything fried. Handarabi belts of reds are a dream with tuna, roast chicken, or Basque-style peppers. And if you're enjoying a Rioja Alavesa Tempranillo, you can't go wrong with lamb. The smoky herbal flavors are basically soulmates. So who wants to go? I know I do. Visiting the Basque Country feels like stepping into another world. One day you can surf in San Sebastian, the next you're hiking in the Picos de Europa, and by evening you're sipping Txakoli overlooking the sea. And now, a word from our sponsor. Calling all Rioja lovers, ready to take your knowledge to the next level? The Uncork Rioja, your ultimate enthusiast guide and certification, is the perfect way to do it. This isn't just a class, it is a comprehensive 36-page digital guide that covers everything from the history and geography of Rioja to its unique aging classifications like Crianza and Gran Reserva. You'll learn about the main grapes and even get tips on food pairings. And here's the best part. Once you finish the guide, you can take a quiz and earn your official Rioja Enthusiast certificate. Get your guide today for just $6.99 at exploringthewineglass.com under the Educational tab. Sláinte! Remember, try the Euskara language. Right? It has got no known relation to any other living tongue. So while you're visiting, give it a try. Remember, it predates Latin, Celtic, and even Indo-European roots. A linguistic survivor of ancient times. The word Txakoli itself comes from Euskara, and even though spelling rules vary, it reflects that deep cultural heritage. So when you hear the locals chatting over a glass of Txakoli and pintxos, you're not just hearing a conversation, you're eavesdropping on living history. If there's one region that proves wine is as much about where you drink as it is what's in your glass, it's País Vasco, or Euskadi. This corner of northern Spain is where misty green hills tumble into the Atlantic, and every sip of Txakoli tastes like the sea spray that kissed the vines. Each of the three provinces, Álava, Biscaya, and Gipuzkoa, offer a distinct experience. In Álava, explore medieval villages like Langardia, perched above a labyrinth of underground wine caves. Head north to Biscaya and Gipuzkoa for coastal vineyards and fishing towns like Getaria, the beating heart of Txakoli. Watch locals perform the signature high pour, raising the bottle and letting the stream of wine arc into your glass to awaken its spritz. Between vineyard visits, dive headfirst into the Basque obsession with food. The region has one of the highest concentrations of Michelin-starred restaurants per capita anywhere. But even better, you can eat like royalty in the humble picto bars. Grab a gilda, which is anchovy, olive, and guindilla pepper, and a chilled Txakoli, and you've basically mastered the Basque way of life. And don't skip San Sebastian, Donostia. With its shell-shaped bay, cobbled streets, and endless pinto crawl, it's pure sensory joy. There's something almost poetic about sipping a wine that mirrors its landscape, brisk, oceanic, and alive with character. Now, no trip through the Basque Country would be complete without dipping into its mythology. And trust me, it's as wild and wonderful as the landscape itself. The Basques have held on to ancient stories that predate Christianity, many centered around the powerful nature spirits that protects its mountains, caves, and forests. One of the most famous is Mari, the Basque mother goddess. She's said to live in mountain caves surrounded by storms. When lightning strikes the peaks, locals once believed it was Mari traveling between her homes. She's not your typical gentle goddess either. She represents nature's balance, rewarding honesty and punishing greed. Sounds like someone who would make it a pretty amazing vineyard manager. Just saying. Then there's Bashuan, the Lord of the Forest, a kind of Basque Bigfoot, but instead of scaring hikers, he teaches humans how to farm, forge metal, and make bread. And if you're wandering the misty hills after a few glasses of Txakoli, you might want to keep an eye out for the Lamiak, enchanting mermaid-like women with duck or goat feet who live in rivers and springs. Legends say they keep those who treat them kindly, but don't make them angry. These stories passed down through generations still echo in Basque art, festivals, and even wine labels. Just one more reminder that in País Vasco, myth and modern life intertwine as naturally as the grapes and the vines. Now that we've sipped on some wine, perhaps some Cabernet Franc, and enjoyed some pintxos, it's time for some fun facts. Txakoli was once nearly extinct. In the 1980s, only a handful of producers remained. Today, thanks to a passionate revival, it's a must-try for any wine lover. Handarabi Beltza is basically Cab Franc's, kid, Spanish child that hasn't made it across to the United States. And as the founder of Cab Franc Day, I have to say, what a proud family reunion it would be. The Basque cider houses, sacer-dotes, are also a can't miss. Locals say shot, and everyone lines up to catch cider straight from the barrel. Who says wine people have all of the fun? So what's the takeaway here? Basque wines are as unique as the people who make them. Fresh, lively, and deeply tied to their land and language. Whether it's a zippy Handarabi Zuri, a peppery Beltza, or a Rioja Alavesa with a whisper of oak, every glass tells the story of resilience and pride. Next episode, we'll travel east to Navarra, where the Pyrenees guard vineyards, producing everything from Rosado to full-bodied reds. Until then, I'm Lori Budd reminding you I'll never tell you what to drink, but I'll always share what's in my glass. And in País Vasco, it's a crisp, spritzy, and probably being poured from a great height. Slancha, or as they say in Basque, topa! This has been another episode of Exploring the Wine Glass. Thanks for listening. If you have suggestions on what topics you would like me to discuss, please reach out on social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Exploring the Wine Glass. I am also on LinkedIn as Lori Hoyt Budd. Of course, you can always email me at exploringthewineglass@gmail.com and sign up for my newsletter at exploringthewineglass.com. If you enjoyed what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe to help others find me more easily. And most importantly, tell your wine-loving friends, because if you like the podcast, they will too. Podcast music is Wine by Kevins. Until next week, slancha!
Never let you go. Never let you go. I want a nice glass right now.